It's terrible, Mom. She had an accident. I got a sudden call from my husband, Robert. He had gone to his parents' house to pick up the suit jacket he had forgotten last week. It was then that his mother, Susan, had an accident and passed away. What? An accident? What happened? She fell from the second floor. What? Why? She was trying to get some laundry that was stuck on the roof and slipped, falling off the balcony. Did you see it happen? Yeah, I rushed to help, but I couldn't make it in time. She fell headfirst and died instantly. There were all sorts of noises mixed into his voice over the phone. It sounded like the scene was chaotic. An ambulance and the police must have been called to handle the situation. Based on the condition of the scene and Robert's testimony, it was concluded that Susan died in an accident. At the time, it was handled as an accidental death. Susan, I can't believe this. I couldn't hide my shock at such a sudden accident. Susan was so happy when Robert got married and gained a daughter-in-law. She treated me like her own daughter and adored her granddaughter, Lisa. She was up to date with the latest trends and was always friendly, chatting with Lisa and me. Even at 73, she skillfully used her mobile phone. We frequently communicated on WhatsApp. She would always consult me if she needed anything. Why? Just when I thought I had lost my real mom to cancer, now Susan too. It's too soon. We got along so well, and I thought of her as another mom I wanted to cherish. All the feelings I had collapsed in an instant. I was incredibly sad, but there was no time to cry. As I had to help with the funeral arrangements, I pulled myself together and managed to complete the preparations, and Susan's funeral went off without a hitch. Hey, Nancy, I've been looking for Mom's mobile phone since the funeral arrangements, but I can't find it anywhere. Do you know where it might be? You're kidding! Susan's mobile phone is missing? Yeah, no matter where I look, I can't find it. When I call it, it does ring, but we can't hear it anywhere in the house or the yard. It must have been lost somewhere. When he told me this while sorting through Susan's belongings, I felt a bit uneasy. I had been communicating with Susan on WhatsApp until the day before her accident. That means Susan had her mobile phone with her until then. So, I could only think that her mobile phone hadn't been lost but stolen. No way! I was in touch with her on WhatsApp until the day before. It doesn't seem like it was lost. It feels more like it was stolen. This is a problem. We won't be able to cancel Mom's mobile phone plan. He seemed flustered as he said this, but I felt his agitation was about more than just canceling the phone plan. Was it the rush of organizing belongings, or was there another reason? I couldn't tell, but soon I understood why. I received a text from Susan's missing mobile phone. Normally, we communicated via WhatsApp, so the fact that it was a text made me think that it was someone else. Moreover, the subject line said, "Make sure Robert doesn't notice you reading this." I lied to Robert, saying I needed to use the restroom, and checked the text's contents while inside. Is this text really from Susan? At first, I doubted it, but it seemed to be genuinely from Susan. I was speechless as I read the message and then shocked when I saw the attached photos and video. They showed Robert's outrageous behavior, revealing that her accidental death was actually a murder. Robert was arrested that very day. My name is Nancy. I'm 38 years old and have a 5-year-old daughter. I have some savings, but I love spending money on my hobbies, such as photography and travel, so I work part-time while managing household chores. I met Robert at a singing bar when I was invited by a friend, and we hit it off. We started dating and got married 3 years later. Robert works as a company employee. He has always been good with money management, having saved a considerable amount even when he lived alone. His frugality seemed to be inherited from his mom, as he was diligent with money. However, he also enjoyed gambling and often indulged in it on weekends. While he sometimes squandered money, he knew he couldn't live without a certain amount of savings and never touched his savings. I think it's amazing how Robert can manage his money so well despite gambling. With a child on the way, it's reassuring to know he's responsible. I hate the idea of struggling financially. That's why I make sure to manage things properly. Robert spent his weekends gambling while working during the week. I, too, liked spending money on my hobbies, so I saved diligently. Our shared attitude toward money made our married life feel relatively comfortable. Hey, it's Saturday tomorrow. Can I go gambling? He often gambled on weekends, but always spent quality time with the family, so at the time, is he going to manage his part as a dad? I thought. However, I was shocked when a friend casually mentioned the real source of the money Robert used for gambling. By the way, Robert borrowed $200 from me about a month ago. Can you ask him when he'll pay it back? What? He borrowed $200? What do you mean? He said he lost big in gambling and didn't have any money left, so he asked me for a loan. At that moment, I thought he must have really run out of money and asked a friend for help. But when I confronted him about it at home, his response shocked me. Oh, that $200? I'll pay it back when I have the money. What do you mean, when you have the money? You have savings, don't you? Pay it from there. That's different. Savings are savings. I don't use them for gambling. So, I set aside money for gambling, and if I lose it, I borrow from friends and pay it back when I win. That's how I manage my gambling. As someone who doesn't gamble, I wondered if this was a normal way to enjoy gambling. But no matter how I looked at it, his gambling habits seemed entirely unacceptable. Isn't that wrong? Sure, you might be paying back the money, but isn't there something off about this? It's not off at all. Isn't that normal? I don't know how other people gamble, but borrowing money like that is basically the same as getting into debt. I think it's wrong. Besides, it seems like you haven't even paid back this recent loan. I've been on a losing streak lately and can't seem to make it back. Wait, does that mean you've borrowed money from other people too? Yeah, I think there are about 4 or 5 others. Robert said this nonchalantly. It wasn't just one person, he had borrowed from several. How could he do that? And he borrowed amounts ranging from $200 to $400 from each person, meaning he had nearly $1,000 in debt. Yet, he acted as if it was no big deal. Don't be so carefree about it. You need to pay them back. $1,000 is too much. This happens all the time. Those who forget about it, I leave alone, and I pay back the persistent ones. Wait a minute. Are you saying you've never paid back those who don't ask for it? Yeah, there are a few like that. It's fine, they don't bring it up. I was stunned by his statement. If they didn't ask for their money back, it meant they had given up hope of getting it and had decided never to lend money to Robert again. This meant there were numerous people who had lent money to Robert for his gambling. How many people have you borrowed from? And how many have you paid back? Let's see. Since I started getting into gambling, maybe about 30 people. I've paid back around a third of them. Incredible. Do you remember how much you borrowed each time? Usually around $200. That's enough to potentially win it back. Even so, you've only paid back a third. You haven't even returned half. I pay back when I can. Those who don't get their money back usually just stop contacting me. It doesn't make sense, right? At this point, I might have married the wrong person. I began to think. I never imagined he was engaging in such sly financial dealings to enjoy gambling. He kept his savings intact to avoid financial hardship. But he borrowed money from others to fuel his hobby. What was enjoyable about that? I couldn't understand. If someone asks to borrow money, normally you wouldn't lend it. If I did, I'd assume I'd never see it again. It's normal to pay back borrowed money. That's why people stop contacting you. If you have savings, you should pay them back immediately. It makes me feel so uneasy. Nancy, it's not something you need to worry about. I'll handle it myself. You don't need to get involved. Robert and I had such different attitudes towards spending money on hobbies that I increasingly felt dissatisfied. He claimed he would handle his own problems, but his demeanor made me doubt it. It seemed more like he wanted to avoid dealing with it and hoped it would just go away. Please, make sure you do. At that moment, I decided to trust Robert's words, but he broke that promise, leading to a major incident. Robert continued to gamble and never reported paying back his friends. He remained calm and enjoyed his gambling habit. "Hey, I won big today. Look, I got your favorite cheesecake, Nancy." When he won, he would often buy me cheesecake or gifts for Lisa, our daughter. If you looked only at these gestures, you might think he was a good dad. However, now that I knew where the gambling money came from, I couldn't genuinely appreciate these gifts. "Hey, we've talked about this before, but are you really sure everything is okay? I'm glad you got me cheesecake, but it doesn't taste as good lately." "Don't worry, everything's fine." He spoke with confidence, but where did that confidence come from? The more we talked, the more uneasy I felt, and I started to distrust his words and actions. A few days later, we visited my in-laws. The topic of Robert's gambling came up, and Susan, my mother-in-law, shared her concerns. "I hate the way Robert spends money on gambling," she said. He had been borrowing money from Susan too. "He saves money for living expenses, but he's so careless with his spending on his hobbies. My late husband used to scold him often. After my husband passed away, Robert started asking me for money." "Wait! Robert's been borrowing money from you too, Susan? Has he paid you back?" "Instead of paying me back, he brings me gifts when he visits. He asks if that's okay, and I've agreed to it. He always brought something when visiting his family. I thought he was just keeping a promise, but I didn't know about this financial arrangement behind my back." "Really? Robert mentioned his financial situation to me, but I had no idea he was borrowing from you too. Never lend or borrow money, even with family. My dad taught me, so I couldn't accept Robert's behavior." "Hey, I talked to Susan. Are you borrowing money from her too? I know you promised to bring gifts, but I don't want you borrowing money from family. Please stop." "What's with the sudden outburst? He never lent me money because he said family shouldn't do that. And now that he's gone, it's not a problem." "It is a problem. Don't you understand? I don't like it when you borrow from friends either, but I tolerated it. But borrowing from Susan is even worse. Stop it. If you want to gamble, use your own money. You have enough savings, don't you?" "But savings are different. I can't use that money." Robert's mindset was stubborn. He firmly believed that his way of gambling was the best and was unwilling to change his opinion. Because of this attitude, the amount of money Robert had borrowed had ballooned to an irreparable level, leading to a tragic incident. "It's terrible. Mom, she's had an accident." When I received that call from Robert, I was confused. Just 2 days before, I had been talking to Susan at her house. We had continued chatting on WhatsApp, and she had said, "Bring Lisa over again soon." Just a few days later, I was hearing this shocking news. The reality of Susan's death felt surreal and confusing to me. However, when I stepped into the empty house after the funeral, the realization of Susan's passing hit me hard, and I couldn't hold back my tears. "Nancy, I've been looking for it since the funeral preparations, but I can't find Mom's mobile phone. Do you know where it is?" After the funeral, while I was organizing the in-laws' house, Robert said the same thing to me. We searched for Susan's mobile phone together but couldn't find it. If we didn't find it soon, we wouldn't be able to cancel Susan's mobile phone contract, which was causing some trouble. Then, I received a text from Susan on my mobile phone, suggesting that someone might have the mobile phone. I was about to tell Robert, but as soon as I saw the subject line, I closed my mouth and said, "I'm going to the bathroom," and walked away from the scene. The subject of the text said, Make sure Robert doesn't see this. The message started with, "If you receive this text after I have died, it's likely that Robert is responsible. Please report it." The content was shocking. My late husband had no interest in money, hobbies, or spending on himself. Even when I gave him an allowance, he neither smoked nor drank, and he kept that money in his personal safe. Before he passed away, he decided to secretly leave that money to me, fearing Robert might use it for gambling if he found it. We kept it a secret. However, while Robert and I were sorting through his belongings, he noticed the safe. Somehow, he figured out the PIN and started secretly taking money from the safe during his visits. I caught him in the act and recorded it with my phone as evidence, but he found out. We had a huge fight, and he even threatened, "If you don't erase that evidence, I'll kill you." I felt genuinely threatened. So, in case something happened, I left this phone with our neighbor Karen. If I die, Karen might contact you. I've left this text and the unerased evidence images to report Robert. The text contained such a message along with several photos of Robert trying to take money from the safe. While I was looking at them, another text came through. This one was from our neighbor, Karen. I happened to witness and record the scene of the incident. I was too scared to speak up until now, but after remembering Susan's words and checking the text, I realized I should send this evidence to you. Attached to the message was a video file, capturing the vivid details of the incident. "Enough is enough! Stop taking money from the safe," Susan was saying as she was about to hang laundry on the balcony. "It's fine. Dad left that money, which means he left it for me too. That money is mine as well," Robert responded self-righteously. Disgusted by Robert's selfish attitude, Susan couldn't hold back her anger and grabbed him. However, Robert easily pushed her away, pinning her against the balcony railing. "You've got some nerve putting your hands on me. Should I kill you as I said?" Robert's expression changed, looking down at Susan menacingly. His words seemed genuine, and realizing the danger she was in, Susan screamed for help. "No, please help me! Someone, please help!" "In this rural area, no one's coming to help," Robert sneered. "Stop! Please stop!" Susan pleaded desperately, but her resistance was in vain as Robert pushed her off the balcony. The entire incident was recorded on the video. Watching it, I was in shock. Robert had killed Mom for the money in the safe. Knowing this, I felt a chill down my spine, realizing the smiling face Robert showed had the potential of a killer behind it. Was he really like this? I thought. I realized that staying with Robert could endanger my own life. I decided to take this evidence to the police and have Robert arrested. Leaving the bathroom, I said, "I'm just going to the supermarket to get something to drink," and drove off. Upon arriving at the police station, I immediately showed the video evidence to the person at the reception. "This is proof of the incident where Susan, who recently died in an accident, was actually murdered. It was a crime. Please arrest Robert immediately." As the tension from rushing to the police station began to release, I broke down in tears. The police officers there helped me up and consoled me. When I showed them the texts, photos, and the video Karen sent, they immediately sprang into action, getting into their patrol cars and heading to the family home. "Excuse me, are you Susan's son?" one of the officers asked Robert. "Huh? Yes, I am. Is something wrong?" Robert replied, "We have received evidence implicating you in your mother's murder. Robert, you are under arrest for the murder of Susan." "What? What are you talking about? I didn't do anything!" Robert exclaimed. "Come with us. Resisting will only make things worse for you," the officer insisted. Robert was then escorted to the police station. As he was brought in, he spotted me resting by the entrance and started shouting, "Was it you, Nancy? Did you give them the evidence? What are you trying to do?" Robert's kind demeanor was gone, replaced by a menacing look. He looked like a demon consumed by greed. I couldn't tear my eyes away from his enraged face. I thought this plan would go smoothly, but you ruined my life, Nancy, he screamed as he was led into the interrogation room. Are you Robert's wife? An officer asked me. Yes, I am, I replied. We're about to show the text and video evidence you submitted during the interrogation. Would you like to observe? Is it okay for me to do that? I asked, concerned. You can watch from a separate room. Your safety will be ensured, the officer assured me. I was led to a room adjacent to the interrogation room. Inside, Robert, now in handcuffs, glared at the officers, looking ready to pounce. Stop it. We're going to conduct this interrogation. We have solid evidence against you. We expect a full confession, one of the officers commanded. I didn't do anything. Why should I be arrested? He retorted. It's bold of you to claim that. We have video evidence of you murdering your mother. Can you still say you didn't do it? Another officer said, and then played the video from the mobile phone. The room fell silent as the recording of Robert and Susan's confrontation played loudly. He watched in shock. How was this scene even recorded? He muttered, collapsing weakly. Well, can you still say you didn't do it? The officer pressed. And you've committed theft too, haven't you? We have clear evidence of that as well. Why did you do it? Confess! Faced with irrefutable evidence, Robert realized it was futile to resist and began to confess. I love gambling. I borrowed money from various people to support my habit. I even borrowed from my parents, but recently, when they stopped giving me money, I started taking it from the safe without permission. Did you know that the money in the safe was left by your dad and had been passed on to your mom? According to the text from your mom, the money was transferred to her. Taking that money is the same as stealing, isn't it? The officer showed Robert the text on the phone as evidence. Robert stared at it, his shoulders slumping as he spoke in a low voice. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. It's too late for apologies. You've committed a crime. I was desperate. The friends I borrowed money from lost patience with me for not repaying, and they involved a mafia office they knew to try to collect the money from me. That's your own fault. So, you decided to kill your mom? It was an accident. I originally went to get the money, but my mom caught me, and we started arguing. In the heat of the moment, I pushed her off the balcony. There was no one around, and I thought if I claimed it was an accident, no one would suspect me. I believed I could use the money my mom had to repay the debt collectors. So, that's why you insisted it was an accident when the police arrived on the scene. I was shocked to hear this revelation from Robert. I couldn't believe he had borrowed money, only to be extorted by the mafia for repayment. Even more surprising was that he managed to live as if nothing was wrong, showing no signs of the turmoil he was facing. How could you hide something like that? It's unbelievable, I muttered. Even though Robert shouldn't have been able to hear me, he turned to glare in my direction. I was terrified, but the officer next to me reassured me. Don't worry, he said. Robert's interrogation continued. So, you've confessed to murder, concealment, and theft. Those are all serious crimes. What? Do you have any objections? Theft is different. Was he trying to reduce his charges by denying just one of the crimes? The interrogation, which seemed like it would soon conclude, continued. I already told you. The money you stole belonged to your mom. Stealing it is a crime. It's clearly theft, especially since it was your dad's inheritance. If it was my dad's inheritance, then I should have rights to it too, right? Look at the text again. The money in the safe wasn't given to you. It was transferred to your mom. It's not yours. And now, that money is your mom's inheritance, which means you, as a non-heir, can't use it. What? I am the heir, aren't I? A murderer can't inherit. Also, according to your wife, Susan had said that she would leave the inheritance to her granddaughter, your daughter. It was a few days before Susan died. If something happens to me and I die, I want my inheritance to go to Lisa so she can attend a good university, she said. The house is still not organized, so I'm not sure, but there might be some documents related to inheritance somewhere in Susan's room. Robert knew that there was money at home. So, to prevent him from using the money, and to ensure that Robert couldn't get his hands on it, she said she would give the money in the safe to Lisa. I think Susan's decision was correct. But in the end, Susan lost her life because of that money. If only I had noticed. I regret it so much. You've got to be kidding me. It's my money. Mine. Get a grip. I just told you, even though it's still uncertain, that money is going to Lisa. You have no right to use it. Damn it! Why? Robert, who wanted to deny the theft at all costs, seemed dissatisfied. However, Robert's words did not reach anyone's ears. His words seemed as annoying as a fly buzzing, and were only seen as weak words that were swatted down by the police officers. You get it now, give it up. I don't want to give up. You're stubborn. What do you want? I admit to the murder. I did it in the heat of the moment, and it was my responsibility to try to cover it up. But, don't put any more charges on me. My social standing will drop even further. What pathetic words. It seemed that he thought his reputation would change when he got out if his social standing dropped any further. He was trying to avoid lowering his standing by removing even one charge. His actions were like those of someone trying to use underhanded methods in a gambling debt situation, and I felt a sense of pity for Robert's actions. Why did I marry such a guy? I questioned myself. You fool, even if that is recognized and the charges are reduced, you still have the heaviest charge of murder. No matter how much you resist, nothing will change. Is there any way at all? Give it up. It's useless. It seemed that Robert finally realized how serious his crimes were and how severe the consequences were. Robert finally stopped his futile resistance and dropped his arms helplessly. Fine, you can throw me in jail. My life is over. Robert did not resist and was led out of the interrogation room by the police. Thank you for providing the evidence. The police officer next to me said this and then opened the door to guide me outside. Are there going to be a lot of procedures from now on? If Robert files a claim about the inheritance, it will be contested in court, but if there is no claim, it's our job to handle it, so there's nothing to worry about. After talking with the police officer about that as I was leaving, I went to the city hall to get the divorce papers. I thought I'd slam them down in front of him during a visit. Then, sometime after Robert was arrested, I was given time to visit, and I handed Robert the divorce papers in the visiting room. Here you go. Why? We don't have to get divorced. Of course, I don't want to stay with a murderer who killed your own parents. Do you think we can go back to living together? Do you think that's possible? Of course, we can. There's no one left at your parents' house, right? Sorry, but you can't go back to that house. Besides the money, I inherited the house and land from Susan. When I was organizing the house, I found the inheritance papers. They clearly state in Susan's handwriting that the money goes to Lisa, and the house and land go to me. Robert was stunned by my words. He realized that he would have no home to return to after being released. Hey, you've got to be joking. Let me into that house. I've lost my job and have nowhere to live. You can't just leave me like this, please. No way. I'm sorry, but I'll handle that house. With those words, I managed to get Robert, who was stubbornly refusing to sign the divorce papers, to finally sign them, and I left the prison. After that, I suggested to Dad, who was living alone in his old house, to move into the house I inherited from Susan. Dad's legs had weakened since Mom passed away, and he was barely able to manage his daily life. The old house had deteriorated significantly, making it dangerous for Dad with his weakened legs. The new house, which was closer to the apartment where he currently lived, would allow me to take care of him more easily. Hey, wouldn't it be better if we lived together? I have a hard time managing on my own, and I'd be happy to have someone with me if possible. Dad's suggestion made me realize something. That's right, Dad was already 82 and quite old. I used to leave Lisa with him if something happened, but even that was becoming difficult. It might be better if we lived together. You're right. I'm sorry, Dad. Let's live together. The old house is falling apart. Let's tear it down and start anew in the other house. With renewed feelings, we canceled the lease on the apartment, remodeled the in-laws' house to make it barrier-free for Dad, and moved in. During the move, Karen from next door came over and said, "Hi, is it Nancy? I have Susan's mobile phone. I've been meaning to return it but never got the chance. Also, I'm sorry I couldn't say anything at that time because I was scared. If only I had provided the evidence sooner." She returned Susan's mobile phone, and every time she spoke, she cried and kept saying, I'm sorry. She said she was too scared to do anything when Robert committed the crime. But I couldn't blame her. I would have been just as scared and unable to act in her situation. After finishing the moving tasks, I invited Karen over, and we reminisced about Susan. Susan was really kind and did so much for me. I was so grateful. That's right. Susan was kind and friendly to everyone. She was loved by all the neighbors. I heard many stories about Susan from Karen. Sometime later, I had the chance to look through Susan's mobile phone before canceling the contract. Among the list of texts, there was one that stood out. So I opened it. Inside, it read, "A few days after my husband passed away, I felt a huge hole in my heart. Still, when Nancy and Lisa are around, I feel at peace, and it helps me forget the hardships. I wish they would come live with me. I wish Nancy could be my real daughter, but that probably won't happen. Thank you for marrying Robert." There was no more text after that. However, the deep meaning within those words was clear. Susan must have wanted to live together and think of me as her real daughter. But Susan's wish didn't come true. Though it was in an unintended way, I was glad I could visit Susan's house often. Still, something was bothering me. Robert was arrested over a money dispute, and he ended up killing Mom. When Susan wrote this text, she probably never imagined such a thing could happen. Thank you for marrying Robert. These words stuck with me. But it was an undeniable reality, and I had to accept it. I closed the text app and put down the mobile phone. This phone will be a keepsake. Thank you for the nice home, Susan. I expressed my gratitude. I should kneel by her grave and pray. With that thought, I placed Susan's mobile phone in my father-in-law Thomas's safe. I'll keep it safe, with heartfelt sentiments. I don't know what happened to Robert after his release. Whether he's homeless or somehow found a job, I have no idea. As for me, I am living while taking care of Dad. I'm still working part-time, but Karen also helps with Dad's care, which is a great help. Though life goes on, I feel happier than before. I'm actively looking for a new partner, but for now, I'm enjoying this life to the fullest. Nancy, we have a celebration for your discharge. A celebration? You'll see when we get home. 6 months ago, I fell ill and had to be hospitalized. It was a tough time with multiple surgeries, but finally, today, I was able to be discharged. My husband, Sam, came to pick me up in the car, and on the way home, he mentioned that he had a surprise for me. Hearing that, I felt a surge of excitement and anticipation. When we arrived home, I couldn't believe what I saw. What? What is this? What's going on? I couldn't help but shout in surprise. Our home had been expanded, and I hadn't been told anything about it. While I was in shock, Sam spoke with a cheerful smile. Nancy, I know you can't do housework right now, but Maria said she'd move in to help us, so you don't need to worry. What? How did this happen? My name is Nancy, 42 years old. In my late 30s, I attended a party. I thought I might never get married. That was until. Please go out with me on the premise of marriage. Are you sure about me? I'd be delighted. I met Sam at that party. We hit it off immediately, started dating, and eventually got married. I hope we can build a happy family together. It would be nice to have kids. Yeah, but even if we don't have kids, I'll be happy as long as we're together. Yes, you're right. Those conversations, filled with smiles, made me truly happy. Sam's parents had already passed away, and before our marriage, he lived with his older sister, Maria. Maria was a workaholic and unmarried, so when Sam and I got married and moved into a new house, she continued to live alone. Occasionally, the three of us would have meals together. Isn't this dish too salty? You should make it milder. Really? I'm sorry. Maria had a straightforward personality, and I found it hard to get along with her. I always worried that Maria might criticize me again. Aside from that, my life with Sam was going well and I was enjoying it. I thought these peaceful days would continue forever. But things started to change gradually from the day of the annual health check at work. I had never had any issues before, so I thought it would be the same this time. But this time was different. There is something concerning. You should get it checked at a major hospital. You're kidding, right? I feel so healthy. This can't be true. I understand it's hard to believe, but the data shows something unusual. No way! I couldn't believe it. But what if it's serious? Filled with anxiety, I decided to talk to Sam. Today was the health check at work, and they said there's something concerning in the results. What? Are you okay? I don't know. They said I should get checked at a major hospital. What should I do? Yeah, you should. Your health is the most important thing. You should get it checked, just in case. You're right. I'll do that. After discussing with Sam, I decided to go to a major hospital. There, I underwent a detailed examination, and the doctor told me, the test results show that you have a serious condition. Surgery is necessary. What? Is there any chance I can recover with surgery? We will do our best. I see. How long will the treatment take? You will need multiple surgeries. If all goes well, you should be able to go home in about 6 months. 6 months? After that, will I be able to return to work? That shouldn't be a problem. I understand. Then. And so, I was admitted to the hospital for treatment of my illness. 6 months. Will everything really be okay? Can I recover fully? These worries kept floating around in my head, but I knew I had to tell Sam, so I called him. Hello? Sam? I had a checkup at the hospital today, and they found an illness. They said I need surgery. What? Will you be okay? They said that with a few surgeries, I could be discharged in about 6 months if everything goes well. Oh, I see. I'm glad it can be cured. It must be tough, but hang in there. I'm looking forward to you getting better soon. Thanks, Sam. I was worried that it would be hard for Sam if I was hospitalized. But I was relieved because Sam naturally cared about my health and encouraged me. The company also told me to focus on my treatment now, so I could take a leave of absence with peace of mind. However, I realized something. I was so preoccupied with the house, work, and my health that I forgot I needed a change of clothes and laundry. Realizing this, I called Sam again. Sam? I'm sorry to bother you while you're busy. Can you bring my change of clothes to the hospital? And could you take the laundry back home? What? Why me? I don't want to. Hospitals are dirty. Viruses are flying around. If I go there, I'll get sick. But I need a change of clothes, and the laundry is piling up. Please. No means no. I'm busy, so I'm hanging up. Wait. He said, hanging up abruptly. I wish he could help at least at times like this. Thinking that, I spent my days in the hospital. I couldn't get Sam's cooperation, but he... Hello? It's not a big deal, but where are the nail clippers? And where's the TV remote? He often called about trivial things like this. A few weeks into my hospital stay. Hello. Maria, thank you for coming. You must be busy with work, right? I had some time. So, how are you doing? Sorry for worrying you. I'm doing all right. I feel bad since Maria must be busy with work too. While having this thought, Maria told me the recent events happening. As we talked, the topic naturally shifted to Sam. By the way, about Sam. What about Sam? Since you got hospitalized, Sam has been staying at my place or waiting for me outside my office. It's troublesome. Really? I can't do anything about Sam because I'm in the hospital. I'm sorry for causing you trouble. Does Sam come to visit you sometimes? You need a change of clothes and laundry, right? Sam doesn't like coming to the hospital, so he doesn't come at all. What? What a useless guy. Then I'll do it for you. What? That's too much to ask. Don't worry about it. Leave it to me. Thank you. After that, Sam still didn't come to visit, and he continued calling about trivial matters. Maria came occasionally and helped with my change of clothes and laundry, as she said she would. I was very grateful. But I also felt very sorry for troubling her. My treatment progressed smoothly, and 6 months later. You can be discharged now. Really? Thank you. I was able to be discharged safely, so I called Sam. Sam came to pick me up by car, and we went home together. By the way, Nancy, we have a celebration for your discharge. What? A celebration? What is it? You'll see when we get home. What? Is it a surprise? Yes, it is. I can't wait to see what it is. Finally, I was relieved to be discharged from the hospital, but I never expected Sam to say something like that. Still, I was so happy and excited. Looking out the car window, I saw the trees lining the street turning golden. Right, I've been in the hospital for half a year. I felt like I'd been left behind by the world, but Sam, who was driving next to me, didn't seem to notice my feelings and kept talking about a new brand of instant noodles. As I enjoyed the long-awaited conversation with Sam, we arrived home before we knew it, but... What? What is this? What's going on? The moment we arrived home, I couldn't help but shout in surprise. As I stood there in shock, Sam smiled and spoke up. How is it? It's nicely extended, right? And since you can't do housework right now, Maria said she'd move in to help, so don't worry. What? What do you mean? You've just recovered, and it wouldn't be good if you pushed yourself and got sick again, right? I thought having someone around to help with chores would make your life easier and more comfortable. I appreciate the thought. I do, but this is different. It's okay. Maria must be lonely living by herself every day, too. I made this decision with both of you in mind. What? How could you make such an important decision on your own? You should have told me. Why? It's fine, isn't it? Anyway, let's go inside. Come on, hurry. Wait, Sam, don't pull me. Still not convinced, I was pulled into the house by Sam. The sight that greeted me inside left me speechless. Despite the recent renovation, the house was filled with trash, with no place to step. I was stunned, but Sam calmly spoke. It's a mess now, but Nancy, you should just rest. Maria will come to clean tomorrow. Sam said this, but there was no way I could accept it. Sam, why do you do such things without asking? What? The renovation, living with Maria. You can't make such important decisions without discussing them. Why not? It's fine. No, it's not. Does Maria know about this? Yeah, she knows. What are these two thinking? I need to contact Maria. I'm going to call Maria right now. You don't have to do that. Sam, be quiet. I angrily contacted Maria. Hello? Nancy, what's wrong? It's not what's wrong. You and Sam decided on living together without consulting me. That's terrible. What? Who's moving in? It can only be you, Maria. What? I don't know anything about that. But Sam said we'd renovate the house and you'd move in. I need to hear about this. Can you come over? Okay. Maria hung up and agreed to come over. Several minutes later, Maria arrived at my house. Sorry to keep you waiting. So, what's this about me moving in? Sam said I couldn't do housework, so he renovated the house and decided you'd move in. Wait a minute. I really don't know anything about moving in. What? I was angry and told Maria the situation, but something seemed off. From Maria's reaction, it really looked like this was the first she'd heard of it. Maria, you didn't know about the renovation or moving in? No, I didn't. Sam, explain what's going on. I want to know, too. Sam, what's going on? The story didn't add up and seemed strange. I told Maria that Nancy can't do housework, so she should help out, right? Yes, I did say I would help out while Nancy can't do the housework. Right? So Maria should be living with us to help out, but she's not here, and the house is a mess. I said I would help, but I didn't say I would move in. Huh? But if you don't live here, you can't help with daily chores. Doesn't helping mean you can move in? Listening to this, I understood the situation. Sam thought that helping meant moving in together. Sam, are you kidding? What? Maria, why are you angry? I never said I would move in. I can come over and help occasionally without living here. You're assuming too much. That's not. And you should stop relying on Nancy and me all the time and learn to do things yourself. That's impossible. It's not impossible. Stop being so dependent. And I have a job too, so I can't come every day. No way. Also, while it's fine to ensure Nancy doesn't overdo it, don't just assume she can't do any housework. That's insulting to her. Sorry. You both have jobs too, right? I can help within reason, but don't take it for granted that Nancy and I will do everything. Understand? Understood. I always felt uncomfortable around Maria, but hearing her speak so clearly to Sam, I felt a sudden closeness with her. Maria, thank you. I understand the situation, and I feel much better hearing that. Really? Nancy, I'm sorry. But we need to do something about this mess. We need to clean up. Yes, we do need to clean. I'll do it, so Nancy, you can rest. I'll help too. Really? Okay. But don't overdo it, you just got out of the hospital. I understand. Thank you. So, with Maria's help, we started cleaning up. As I picked up the scattered trash at my feet, I found receipts from nightclubs and high-end steakhouses. Why are these here? I decided to ask Sam about it. Hey, Sam, can I ask you about these? The receipts from the nightclub and high-end steakhouse. What's going on? Oh, those. I went to the nightclub with my colleagues from work and ate steak with the staff. What? Are you serious? I can't believe it. While I was in the hospital, you were out having fun with other women and didn't even visit me? That's unforgivable. And something doesn't feel right. The money. Where did it come from? Sam's savings alone wouldn't be enough for such extravagant outings. Hey, where did the money come from? Sam, your savings wouldn't be enough, right? I took it out from Nancy's savings. What? And I sold some jewelry and bags to get money. I can't believe he sold my things while I was gone. Even as I stood there stunned, Sam continued talking without noticing my reaction. Nancy had quite a few accessories and bags she wasn't using. Selling them made quite a bit of money. What? Are you kidding me? What? Why are you angry? Feeling uneasy, I checked the places where I usually kept my accessories and bags. How much did you sell? Not just my accessories and bags, but even my parents' and grandparents' heirlooms are gone. I sold all of that too. No way. I sold a lot of things, but Nancy's personal belongings weren't worth as much as our grandparents' keepsakes. Luckily, those sold for a good price. How could he be so insensitive, selling other people's things without guilt and calling it lucky? What kind of person thinks like this? As I was lost in disbelief, Maria, who had been watching the scene, spoke up. Sam, you really need to stop this nonsense. Huh? Maria, why are you angry? It's not just Maria who's angry. Nancy too? What's going on with you too? Even though Maria and I were furious with Sam, he seemed clueless about why we were upset. It was truly exasperating. Taking my cherished belongings and selling them without permission is the lowest thing you could do. I can't believe I have a brother like this. It's disgraceful. Huh? You don't need to get that angry. I'm done talking. There's no point in continuing this. Nancy, come to my house. Really? Are you sure? Of course. It's better this way. Thank you. I'll do that. If you're going to Maria's, then I'm going too. Not you, Sam. Absolutely don't follow us. Why? Don't say that. Sam kept shouting, but I decided not to respond as it was pointless to continue the conversation. And so, I went to Maria's house. After arriving at Maria's house, I contacted Sam again. Thinking back, from the beginning of our marriage, he never helped with the housework, relying on me for everything. Even when I was hospitalized. In the end, he went so far as to take my money and important things. I realized I couldn't stay with someone like him any longer and decided to tell him clearly. I'm divorcing you, Sam. Why? I thought it would be good for both of us. I mean, think about it. Maria would be lonely living alone in the future. Nancy, you still need to take care of your health. We don't even have kids. I haven't done anything wrong. You still say such things. It's really unbelievable, I said, and hanging up the phone. A few days later, Sam came to Maria's house. What are you doing here? What do you want? Nancy, I was wrong. Please forgive me. What? Why are you apologizing all of a sudden? When I left, he didn't show any sign of admitting his fault. So why was he suddenly acknowledging it now? I told my coworkers about Nancy asking for a divorce. They asked why, and when I explained, they said it was only natural. Of course, they did. It wasn't just one person, everyone said the same thing. That's when I realized I was wrong. So, I'm sorry. Nancy, I was wrong. Please forgive me. He couldn't realize it until everyone told him. The more I listened, the more exasperated I became. There was no way I could start over with someone like this. I'm sorry, but I have no intention of getting back with you, Sam. I've already consulted a lawyer about the divorce, compensation, and repayment of the money. From now on, please contact me through my lawyer. Wait. When I said this, Sam seemed too shocked to respond. Then Maria appeared and said, "Just so you know, Sam, I don't want to deal with you either. Don't rely on me." Maria, why? Help me out. If I help you, you'll never become independent. And I don't want my things sold without permission. I wouldn't do that. How can I believe that? You've been taking advantage of the family. Just leave, Maria said, closing the door, shutting Sam out. With the help of my lawyer, the divorce was finalized without issue. The items Sam sold and the money he used were returned or repaid. After the divorce, Sam's reasons became known, and his co-workers started distancing themselves from him. Still unable to do housework, Sam's place became a mess. And it was rumored among neighbors as a garbage-filled house. Maria and I still kept in touch. And one day, she had some happy news to share. Actually, there's someone at work I get along with very well. We're planning to get married. I'm going to sell my house and move to his hometown. Really? That's surprising, but congratulations. Thank you. Nancy, take care of yourself and stay well. A few days later, Maria moved as planned. I also resumed work and requested a transfer. I wanted a fresh start too. Now, I'm enjoying living alone freely. Being betrayed by Sam was truly heartbreaking. But dwelling on the past won't change anything. Maria has found happiness and started a new life. I need to follow her example. I will definitely find happiness too. I vowed to myself. And I took a new step forward. Determined to face the future.